will germinate is 0.8. 60 seeds are planted. Estimate the number of seeds that will germinate. So we're told the probability is 0.8. That is the same as 80%. 0.8 as a percentage is 80%. So to estimate the number that will germinate, we can work out 80% of 60. So 80% times 60, or 0.8 times 60. That's the same as 8 times 6. So that is 48. And one of these for you to try, so give this one a go. So the probability a spinner will land on red is 0.7. It's spun 100 times. Estimate the number of times it will land on red. So it's 70%, or 0.7 times 100, which is 70. Here we've got a table. So the question says, in a bag there are red counters, blue counters, and green counters. A counter is taken at random. The table shows the probabilities of the counter being red or blue. Complete the table. So we know that all probabilities have to add up to 1. So we need to find the missing probability by finding the thing that will make the probabilities add up to 1. So we've got 0.42 and 0.36 at the moment. So that adds up to 0.78. How many more do we need? What more do we need to get to 1 whole? So 1 minus 0.78, or you could think of it as 100%, take away 78%, either one, and it's 0.22, or 22%. So we're going to write 0.22 in the table. So all probabilities of everything that can happen has to add up to 1. Here's a question for you to try. So complete this table. So we can see that we've got 0.3 and 0.25. That's the same as 30% and 25% if we were doing it in terms of percent. So 0.3 and 0.25. So 0.3 is the same as 0.30. We've got 3 tenths and no hundredths. If we add these together, we've got 0.55 so far, or 55%. How many more do we need? What more do we need to get to 1 whole? What do we have to add on to 0.55 to make a whole? That's 0.45. Here is another question. So again, we've got a bag with counters. We've got red counters, blue counters, black counters, and white counters. A counter is taken at random from the bag, and we've got probabilities of red and blue. We're told the probability of the counter being black is twice the probability that it will be white. So if white, the probability of white is x, the probability of black is double that. So double x is 2x. So black is going to be double whatever white is. So let's complete the table. Let's figure out what we've got so far. So we've got 0.23 and 0.41. So that means we've got 0.64 so far. So what more do we need? What do we have to add on to 0.64 to make a whole? That's 0.36. So 0.36 and 0.64, or 64% and 36%, make a whole. So we know we've got 2 missing probabilities, 2x and x. So I'm going to say 2x and x equal 0.36. So this one's double this one, so we've called them x and 2x. So that means we've got 3x is equal to 0.36. If we divide both sides by 3, we get 0.12. 36% divided by 3 is 12%, or 0.36 divided by 3 is 0.12. So x is 0.12. 2x is 2 0.12s, which is 0.24. So now we've got probabilities that add up to a whole, and the probability of black is double the probability of white. And one of these for you to try. So this time, what does the question say? The probability of it being black is the same as the probability it will be white. So give this one a go. So we've got 0.4 and 0.08. So we've got 0.48 so far. So the two missing probabilities have to add up to 0.52. They're the same, so we can just half 0.52. Half of 0.52. Half of 52. That's 0.26. So the probabilities are the same, so they must both be 0.26. And another different question. A spinner can land on 1, 2, 3, or 4. The probability it lands on 3 is twice the probability it lands on 4. So again, we've got x as 4, and the probability it lands on 3 is double, so we call that 2x. So we need to find these missing probabilities. So let's do what we did before. Let's add up what we've got. So we've got 0.67 so far. What's missing? What more do we need to make a whole? That's 0.33. So 2x and x equals 0.33. The missing probabilities have to add up to 0.33 to make a whole. So 3x's are 0.33. Divide both sides by 3. X is 0.11. So 2x's, 2 0.11s are 0.22. So here are our probabilities. The question says the spinner is spun 200 times. Estimate the number of times it lands on 3. So we're going to do 0.22, so 22%, 0.22 of 200, 0.22 times 200, and well, we can think of this as if we times by 100 first, and then 2. So 0.22 times 100 times 2. So 0.22 times 100 is 22. 22 times 2 is 44. So the estimate is 44 times. And one for you to try. So give this one a go. So again, the spinner can land on 1, 2, 3, or 4. The probability it lands on 4 this time is 3 times the probability of 3. So it's whatever 3 is multiplied by 3. Whatever the probability of landing on 3 is multiplied by 3. So let's find the missing probabilities first. So at the moment we've got 0.35 and 0.33, which adds up to 0.68. What's missing? What do our missing probabilities have to add up to? What do we have to add on to 0.68 to make a whole? That's 0.32. So x and 3x equals 0.32. That means 4x's are 0.32. Divide both sides by 4. So 32 divided by 4 is 8. That's 0.08. So x is 0.08. 3x's, 3 0.08s, 3 times 8% is 24%. So 0.24. We're told the spinner is spun 500 times. Estimate the number of times it lands on a 3. So it's 0.08 times 500. 8% of 500. That's the same as 8 times 5, which is 40. And another question. So we've got a bag with red counters, blue counters, and green counters. A counter is taken at random. We've got the probabilities of red and blue here. So we can find the probability of green. Let's do that first. So we've got 0.45 and 0.3. So we've got 0.75 at the moment. What more do we need to make a whole? That's 0.25. The probability of green is 0.25. What does the question say? There are 12 blue counters in the bag. Work out how many green counters are in the bag. So there are 12 blue counters. So we can say 30% or 0.3 times the total number of counters is equal to 12. 30% of however many counters there are is 12. So 12 is 30%. So how can we find out x, how many counters there are, if we divide by 0.3? So 12 divided by 0.3 will give us the total number of counters. So 12 divided by 0.3, if I multiply top and bottom by 10, that's the same as 120 over 3, which is 40. So there are 40 counters in total. How many green counters are there? So 0.25, 25%, or a quarter, that's easier, are green. So 0.25 times 40 is 10. So there are 10 green counters. Here is one for you to try. So give this one a go. So we've got red pens, black pens, and green pens. So let's get the missing probability first. 0.15 and 0.3 makes 0.45. So 1 minus 0.45 is 0.55. So the probability of a black pen is 0.55 or 55%. There are 12 red pens. How many black pens are there? So we know 15%, 0.15, 15% of all the pens makes 12. So 15% is 12. So 15% of the total number is 12. So 15% is 12. If I divide both sides by 0.15, so that's double top and bottom, 24 over 0.3. Then multiply top and bottom by 10, 240 over 3. And 240 over 3 will be 80. So there are 80 pens in total. How many are black? So 55% are black. So 55% of 80. So 0.55 times 80. So 55% of 80 50% is 40. So 5% is 4 dividing by 10. So 55% must be 44. There must be 44 red pens. There was probably a much easier way of doing this. If we had said 15% is 12 pens, I could have divided by 3 and said 5% is going to be 4 pens. So then times 11, 55% is 44 pens. That would have probably been an easier way. Anyway, 2 questions to finish up. So pause the video and give them a go. So the probability a spinner will land on red is 0.45, 45%. The spinner is spun 200 times. Estimate the number of times it lands on red. So 0.45 times 200. So that's the same as 0.545 times 100 times 2. So that's 45 times 2, which is 90 times. Question 2. A spinner can land on 1, 2, 3, or 4. The probability it lands on 4 is twice the probability it lands on 3. So it's going to be double whatever the probability of 3 is. So all the probabilities have to add up to a whole. So at the moment we've got 0.38 and 0.2. So 0.58. What's missing? 0.42 is missing. So x and 2x equal 0.42. So 3x is 0.42. Divide both sides by 3. So how many 3's go into 42? That's 14. So x is 0.14. 2x is double that, 0.28. And that was the question. So we've completed the